I'm a Muslim, I came from the streets to Islam, the ghetto. Now when you see your brother, give a palm, embrace with a hug and greet me with salam. Salamu alaikum.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We'd like to welcome you back to our show, The Two Passport Used by Rosat Islam. Firstly, we'd like to thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for giving us the opportunity for being here today. Secondly, we'd like to bring peace and blessing to our noble messenger Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Today, inshallah ta'ala, we're going to be talking about life behind bars, prison life. Now, subhanAllah, a lot of the youth nowadays, they aspire to go to jail, to be on the roads, to do this kind of road life, and they don't realize the consequences of where it can take you. And there's two places where majority of people end up. It's either in the grave or they end up in prison. Without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to our guests, inshallah ta'ala. On the left, we have the brother here, Abdul Haq. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
The next brother here, inshallah ta'ala, we have Khalil Ibrahim. Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
And we've got our next brother here, Abdullah ibn Adam. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Alright, without further ado, inshallah ta'ala, the first question I'd like to ask you, brothers, is what is it like when you go to court and you're sitting in the courtyard and you get told that you are guilty? What is the first feeling that goes through your head?
Boy, it's a mad feeling still. Personally, me, I've never been found guilty. I've always pleaded guilty, so I don't really know.
That's the same as me. I pleaded guilty to my offence, so I didn't have to go through the ordeal of trial, so to speak.
SubhanAllah. How about you, Abdul Haq?
Yeah, me myself, I've been in court on 3 separate occasions. All 3 separate occasions, I pleaded not guilty, and I was obviously convicted and found guilty. Whereas being in the courtroom, being in the dock, you do put on a smug look as if it doesn't bother you, as if you don't really care. But deep in the back of your mind, there's a whole heap of emotions going through. I.e., when I'm in court most of the time, my mother usually comes to court with me. So seeing her face, seeing her shedding a tear, puts a little bit of emotion there. Also, usually the crimes which I've done to bring me to court in the first place, I know they carry usually quite substantial sentences, so it all starts to kick in. Like, gonna probably lose my flat, have to start again financially when I get out, etc., etc. So all them sort of emotions, and obviously knowing what's it that you're gonna be rotting away for the next 3, 4, 5, however many years it is. So all in all, it's not the best of times. No, it's not the best of times.
The stress of not knowing as well.
Yeah, not normal.
Alright, what is going through your mind when you have to come back to court and then you have to go through sentencing? What is the feeling like when you're going through sentencing?
Stress. You're just thinking, boy, what am I gonna get? Like, sometimes the solicitor tells you that you're gonna get a certain amount of time. So he might tell you, for instance, my case, I thought I was gonna get like a 5, and the solicitor told me, yeah, that's what I'm gonna get. Do you understand? So when I went to court and I got 3, it was a bit. I wasn't relieved, but I was a bit more easy, and I thought to myself, okay, do you understand? It was a bit better for me, innit?
But when you actually got the sentence, when they actually told you 3 years, what was going through your mind?
I got to the cell and I just thought to myself, where's my release date? Understand? It's because you kind of think to yourself,
aim towards now,
yeah,
you
something
know
to
what
aim
you're
towards.
doing.
You know what you're doing next, and it's the next step, if you get what I'm saying.
So basically, when you got the sentence, you say like you basically accepted it straight away. It wasn't something.
No, you don't accept it straight away, but if you've been waiting for it, like you've been waiting, you know you're gonna get sentenced, and you've been waiting for it, then you kind of get there, you get the sentence, and then as soon as you get back downstairs into the cells, you just think, alright, let's go and do it.
Because obviously you've been in prison for a little while anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially if you've been on remand, and where it is, you're just, as soon as you get that sentence, you've got your goal in sight now, innit? You know when you're getting released, and now all the things you're putting into play comes into your mind now. You're gonna set certain things into place. What you're gonna do in jail, what you're gonna set for yourself outside of jail. Okay. So you got to focus now, innit? Whereas when you're on remand and you don't know what's going on,
what is remand? Can you break that down to us?
Remand is when
it's just basically you're held in prison, innit, until like there's further progress with a case. So for instance, some people might go to court before trial and they might be let go home. Do you understand? Or some people might, you know, go stand trial, get found guilty. Or some people might even just go and plead guilty like I did.
Yeah,
It
usually
gets
like
taken off your something as well.
yeah, usually like in layman's terms, remand is that when somebody's been suspected of a crime, they've even been charged with a crime, but there hasn't been substantial evidence for court proceedings to go ahead. So they feel that the charges that have been labelled against them are quite severe, but they're only allegations and accusations. But they're so severe that they don't believe that
They can have bail.
they're so severe that they believe that they're probably too dangerous to be outside on the street left alone. But they don't have enough evidence to actually convict them
To
and
actually
prosecute.
hold them there,
So what they do is there's a middle ground where basically you're held in prison, but you're still entitled to certain rights. A person who's on remand will be entitled to say more visits than somebody who's been convicted, because obviously,
They don't know if he's guilty or
the
not, innit?
Constitution says in this country that you're innocent until proven guilty. So as you're on remand, these are for people who haven't been found guilty, but there's a high level of suspicion that they are guilty, but it hasn't been yet proven. So there's a middle ground. They feel they're too dangerous to let out on the street because of maybe the charge, maybe it's a murder charge, or even some people, filthy people, a rape charge. So they feel the charge against them, is so severe, yet they haven't got enough evidence to convict them. So they've used the middle ground where you're held in prison, but you have more privileges than somebody who's actually been convicted. You get extra visits, you're allowed
Wear
to
your
spend
own
more
clothes.
money, you can wear your own clothes. You might even be entitled to a better standard of job in the prison, etc., etc. So it's certain things like that.
Okay, so after the sentencing, I think you get put in the police van or you get put in the prison van. What is the procedure? Like, when you're in the prison van, are you in the van with other people? Are you in the van on your own? Like, could you break that down to us a little bit?
You're talking about after the sentencing?
After the sentencing,
Going
you've been
back to
sentenced.
jail.
What happens after you get sentenced?
Depending on where you are, like, sorry to cut the brother in, but for example, if you're at, say, for example, a well-known prison such as Belmarsh, Belmarsh actually has an established court right next door to it called Woolwich Crown Court.
on the ground.
So what it is that with Belmarsh, it's unnecessary for them to take you out of the court, load you onto a van and travel anywhere, because basically Belmarsh and Woolwich Crown Court is linked.
Next
They're
door
right
to
next
each
door
other.
to each other. There's an underground tunnel which links both the court to the prison. But obviously if you're, say, travelling from what they call the Old Bailey, which is central London, you're travelling back to Belmarsh, then it's necessary for you to obviously be loaded into the van, and what people call, what us boys usually call, the name for it is sweat boxes. They're sweat boxes. And that's exactly what they do. They put you in a confined, the buses hold maybe between 8 to 10 people.
Are you lot all in the
Single
same...
boxes.
All
of
Nah,
them.
it's like a little box here, like
Single box.
this big. Literally, it's
Just
this
enough for
big.
your knees.
And it's like hard plastic. It's like the whole box is, like where you're sitting there, it's hard plastic. It's a little window, sort of tint. That's like,
Usually it's like, I don't know, somebody can get a vision of, say, like a minibus. Imagine a minibus, and then it's got a compartment, 8 or 10 separate individual compartments. Like, imagine like your kitchen cupboard, imagine like 8 of them packed into a bus, and then you're crouched and squeezed into one of them individually.
What, do you have to stand up? Can you sit down?
Nah, you're sitting down.
You have to sit down. You could just about stand up, but it's so confined, the space, which is why it's known as a sweat box, which is why it's called a sweat, because you sweat, especially if it's a hot summer's day, you sweat, there's no ventilation, there's no windows, like there are no windows. And some people would go, yeah, that's not fair, but I suppose the way the establishment look at it is that if you do the crime, you do the time, and it's not their problem. It's not their problem. But yeah, it's known as a sweat box. So it's very, very confined space. You can't sit up. There are no windows. So if it's roasting hot outside, you're smoked. It's the issue.
All right, you see when you end up at the prison, so you come out the prison van, what's the next procedure? What happens after that?
Processing.
what usually happens is that, say for instance, you went to court and you had all your stuff with you, take it back into the prison, they'll look for your stuff, etc., etc. Some prisons, depending on where you are, they might take your own clothes off you and give you prison clothes. Basically wait for, whatever they're doing,
Search
and then
you.
take you back, search you, take you back down to the wing.
Strip search.
Strip search, is that standard in every prison? Or
Standard.
It's like something that you don't even want to go through, because it's a violation of your manhood that you have to strip down to your bare essentials, and the next man's got to be searching you up. You know what I'm saying? So that's the reality of it.
SubhanAllah.
You got no rights in this place.
Subhanallah. So basically, you enter the prison, you get strip search. What happens after that?
You go into the holding cell, innit?
Yeah, you go into this place.
What's a holding cell?
Holding cell is basically what they do is that after like the brother just said, Abdullah, you obviously they process you through making sure. The reason why they strip search you is because obviously you're in an environment where people are very volatile. Obviously you've got other inmates who deemed probably aggressive, and you've got staff who don't want to be attacked. So they strip search you to make sure obviously you don't have contraband, i.e. knives, drugs, etc., etc. But after that process now, after the process of being searched and them knowing exactly who you are, you get put in a holding cell. And the holding cell is really what they're doing is they're assessing, they usually assess what category of prison you are, whether you're high risk, low risk.
And how do they do that?
Many things, your previous charges, the charge you're actually on, even your attitude in the bus from the prison cell to the bus. Like if you say the right things or the wrong things, or they might do the wrong things. Like
that makes a difference.
If you put somebody who's not Muslim with me, then I'm not gonna have it right. High risk. You've got to have your own cell. We don't feel you're comfortable enough to be put in a double cell, which is usually what they do when you enter the prison. They usually put you either in a 2-man or 3-man bang up initially. But if you come in at high risk, automatically they give you a single cell, which is what a lot of people do to play the game, innit? Play the game, as they say.
All right, so after the holding period, what, do you get put into your own cell, or like you were saying, do you get mixed with other inmates, 2, 3, like what's the procedure after that?
While you're in that holding cell, that's what they're doing, actually checking your paperwork, looking through the computer, checking like what category of prison you are, what risk of prison you are. Are you a danger to yourself? Are you a danger to others? Obviously, if you're in prison in the first place, you must be a slight danger. But there's different levels, as we know, of danger. You can have somebody who's a petty car thief, and really he's not dangerous to anybody except for people who've got nice cars. But you can obviously have it to the upper scale, and you can have somebody who's a mass murderer. Somebody could be in a mass murder, or somebody who they like to deem as a terrorist, etc., etc. And these people, they put them at the highest scale. And then in between, you have people lying between, i.e. people in for ABH, actual bodily harm, GBH, grievous bodily harm, etc., etc. And these are the people like somewhere within the middle. So usually the people in the murder charges or terrorist charges, automatically they're deemed as high risk, automatically. People deemed for very petty, what we deem as petty crimes, stealing a couple of, stealing cars or penny sweets from rich, or whatever they do nowadays. These people deemed as low risk, and they're deemed not really a threat to anybody, so they're usually put in a double bang up or 3-man bang up.
So if you're not a risk, you get put in the cell with more people. If you are a risk, you get put in the cell with more people.
It just depends where you are, innit? It just depends. Like, a lot of prisons is single bang up, and nowadays, because they're cutting down on space, it's mostly double bang up. So it just depends where you are, really.
But if you're high risk, really high risk, doesn't matter what, they'll find a space for you to have a single cell. If you're high risk, if you're like I said, a mass murderer, they will find you a single banger. They will find you a single, somewhere, somehow, they'll find you a single banger. But they can't afford to take the risk. Because if you look at it on a scale, like this, that you've got somebody who's got nothing to lose, somebody's been charged with, say, 14 counts of murder, or 10 counts of murder, and he gets put in a cell with somebody who's just in for shoplifting. And the person who's in for shoplifting, the maximum sentence he can probably get is about 12 months, which means he has to do half of that, which is 6 months. This person is in for multiple murders, charged with multiple murders. Maybe he's been charged with 10 murder charges. He's got nothing to lose if he gets found guilty. If he is eventually found guilty, or if he has been found guilty, he's got nothing to lose. He knows he's going to die in prison. Unless Allah wills, obviously. But the person who's obviously, being convicted of shoplifting, he can see a future for himself. So he can see a bright future. The wife, the children, a job, etc., etc. The person who's been convicted of 10 murder raps, like, he's well and truly finished, smoked. He is smoked. So if you look at it on the balance, it will be slightly unfair to the person who's in for the shoplifting charge to be put in a cell with this person, because this person doesn't mean necessarily the person who's in for a shoplifting charge can't fight, or is a plum, is a wally. He's not necessarily a wally, probably can't even handle himself, but he's got something to lose. He's got something to lose.
They're just not on the same page,
if he stabs that, for example, in self-defense, he might say, you know what, I'm not going to have it. No, you ain't going to take my canteen. No, you ain't going to rape me. No, you ain't going to do none of that. I'm not going to have it. If you try and come up to me strong, I will defend myself. and
But
defend.
what are you saying? So when you're in jail, man's taking your canteen. Like break this down to me.
Yeah, it depends who you are. Obviously not me, but not me. I'm not one of those guys. Yeah? But there are certain people who do get bullied, who do get victimised. And what it is that, like I said, when you are being enrolled into the prison system, the reason why they do a risk assessment, like I said, is because if you do have somebody who's a mass murderer in the cell with somebody who's in for, say, shoplifting or car theft, what will happen is, obviously, if you look at the balance, that person is in for mass murder, he has nothing to lose whatsoever. He has nothing to lose by killing number 11 or number 12 or number 30. It's not going to make no difference. He's not coming out anyway. Whereas that guy who's in for shoplifting, he does see a future. He has got hopes. He has got aspirations. So in saying that, if you mix the two together, the guy who's in for shoplifting, etc., he might even feel that I need to defend myself. Like, I ain't a plum, you know. Don't think you can just boy me or moist, man. Like, turn over the TV without asking or just slap me up. No, I ain't one of those guys, you know. The guy who's in for 10 murder charges, like, listen, shut up. I don't care what you're in for, listen, like, I'll take you out. I got nothing to lose. Whereas the guy who's in for the lesser charge, if he does defend himself by stabbing him or now he's in for the rest of his life. So it's not a correct
vicious cycle, innit?
Yeah, so that's what they do.
But then again, it depends what prison you're in. Because some prisons, they have just life as wings.
Yeah.
Is what I'm saying. So
what's the life?
Life as wings is like you group, like you saying, the high risk individuals is more or less a wing full of those type of individuals, isn't it? So you won't get low risk and high risks mixed up.
They won't mix them.
They won't be mixed. They'll be on separate.
Basically, everyone's got nothing to lose, you know.
Yeah, no one's. It's a madhouse, isn't it? That's what I'm saying.
All right, the next question I want to ask you lot is, in your cell, what's in the cell? Like generally, I know maybe it might differ to prisons, but generally, what is inside the cell?
Where I was, you had a shower, you had a TV, you had a little wardrobe thing. It was alright, and you could work with it, but it's not, I wouldn't say it's nice. It's not somewhere you want to be. It's dirty. It's just not, it's not really nice.
I had a toilet, a sink, and a double bunk bed. That was it. No, single bunk bed. Yeah, single bunk bed. That was it.
Abdullah?
Yeah, like the brother was saying, like some prisons you do get a little bit of luxury. Yeah, but
if you call it that.
Yeah, but generally that's usually for what they will call like YOIs, like youth offenders. Usually they get slight. I wouldn't say it's not so much an easier ride. It's that.
The difference with YO is that they might the amenities might be a bit better, but because of the mentality and the age group, it's a lot worse.
Yeah,
it's a lot worse than adult prison. You see what I'm saying? Cause obviously you got these bunch of kids that just hyped and amped in it totally. You see what I'm saying? Because of the age
gap's different
span that they're in.
So what's the young offender's age? What's the rough like the old?
I think it starts out from like
16.
No, there's younger than, I think there's like 14 to 16, then there's like 16 to 18, 18 to 21, and then from 21 it's
kind of shipped out.
Yeah.
All right, roughly. See, when you're in your cell, how long generally are you like locked up for?
Oh yeah, I forgot. What's it previously? Obviously, this question relates to a previous question, but just regarding depending on what prison establishment you're in. Usually, you're not only graded what's in terms of risk assessment when you're being found at allocation space within the prison system. Usually, depending on the crime you've done, also it depends on what prison you might end up in. Some prisons, like what the brother was saying regarding the environment, determining how your cell would look like, determines usually what prison you're in. If you're in a high-graded prison, for what they would say serious offenders, like say a Belmarsh, you might not get all the amenities that the brother's talking about. But if you're in a very low-risk prison, say like what they call open prison, where you can go out, it might sound like a nice life here, but
it's long.
Yeah, but it's still timing. Say, for example, like a prison like Ford Open Prison or Owsley Bay or Blantyre House, etc., etc. These sort of establishments, they have like the showers in your cell, etc., etc. So
it's like false hope. The open prison is like false hope. It might sound like
it's like you got 1 foot in and 1 foot out.
So a lot of brothers that I've spoken to, like, I ain't been in an open prison, but a lot of people I've spoken to who've been in open prisons, it's just as bad because it's like head games. You know, like mind games they're playing with you. Like you're 1 foot in, 1 foot out. You can go out to work, but then you gotta come back.
But wouldn't you say it's like they're kind of preparing you?
Yeah, that's
for what
the
you're
whole
gonna come out of your
purpose.
sentence?
That's
It's
the whole
preparation,
purpose of it.
but at the same time, as a prisoner, that's worse for you, innit? Because a lot of people, when they go out, they don't want to come back in.
Yeah.
It's like, people even say like it's like I'm handing myself back in again. You see what I'm saying? So it's a thing like, I find it, I ain't been in a situation, but I find it better. Yeah, not
to
saying
do
that I want to
time.
go back to prison or anything, but I'm saying that I find it better that once I'm locked up, and I got to wait for my release date for anything. You see what I'm
Just
saying?
rather just do your time. You're not
Just
really
do your
feeling
burden,
the
you come out, innit?
in
But
and out thing.
In and out, it's just, you know?
But then again,
So
some
prison
people,
on
might
the
say,
whole is
some people
just-
might say it's different because when you get that chance to go out, yeah, you can make plans, innit? You understand? You're not just out there like that's what they did it for. Usually they did it for people who got long prison sentences. So like halfway through their sentence, they'll get them ready, bring them out, let them see what's going on outside, and then eventually, when your release date comes, you're prepared for it. Do you understand? Because some people might just come out and they're like, raw, I was on roll 2000s, 2010. Raw, McDonald's ain't there no more. Do you understand? Do you understand? So it just depends, innit? On some people. Some people might say, okay, look, I'd rather do my whole sentence and just get done with and come out.
What you say, it will affect people differently.
Yeah, everyone's different, innit? But I'm sure 9 out of 10 people, if they got long sentences, they're gonna wanna step out for a little bit and then come back in. But if you know you got a little 2-1 or a little,
The temptation's more.
yeah,
When you got a longer sentence and you've done most of your burden, you're right at the end, you're not gonna mess it up.
mess
is
it
it?
up because you know what you just
But
done.
when you got a little bird, a couple years or something, the temptation is much more, innit?
But do you ever come across people like that? Maybe they're in an open prison, they come out and then they end up
Yeah, I know a
not
lot of
coming
people.
back or
I know a
something
lot of
like
people
that,
has
and
done that. They've gone. As soon as they come out, that's it. They're gone.
That's it. They can't. They
They're not
can't.
gone. They're not going back.
They'll-
And then it
put
starts all
themselves
over
back.
again because eventually you're gonna get
get
nicked.
caught, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's another charge now. You know what I'm saying?
So what? It'll just go on top of what you had before, or
I don't know what is it absconding it's called?
Yeah, it's absconding, yeah,
Yeah,
you
so
go
that's
court
that-
for it.
you
And
go
it's a
court.
whole nother charge.
You know what I'm saying?
so then basically if that happens, that's your chances ruined. You'll never
Yeah.
get put in like maybe an open prison again.
Yeah. They don't put you. You're high risk now, innit? So what I'm saying, like.
All right. The next question I want to ask you lot is basically,
Easy, man, see.
all right. You're so generally, you said it's different in regarding to how long you be in the cell, but generally, how long are you locked up for? Because we want to get this clear to the viewers. Like generally, how long are you in your cell for?
Depends what category.
That's,
The
yeah,
brother
sorry,
was
that's where I
explaining
come.
that,
Sorry, I lost myself. Yeah, what's it? Yeah, just regarding the question you just asked there. Usually it's what category of prison you're in. If you're the reason why I come to that point was that usually if you're in open prison, it's quite easy going, quite free. So usually you're out of your cell practically all day because it's the last step on the prison scale. It's the last step on basically between the difference between being in prison and being free. It's that in-between stage. So usually you're out of your cell all day, doing college courses so you can be a benefit to the community when you get out.
You can do
trying to
open
sort-
university.
Trying to sort out
Open
what's it,
university, yeah,
trying
you
to
can
sort
do
out
open
housing,
university.
etc., etc. And some people will think, oh yeah, what are they getting all the luxuries of university and training, and we don't get that. But what you've got to remember is that it's either that or we come out with the same
Reoffend.
level of qualifications that we went in with, the same mentality that we went in with, and what's going to happen? We're going to reoffend. Like that's the probabilities. But if you load us with skills, education, training, allow us to sort out a place to live before we get out, etc., etc.
Do they provide all this stuff?
This is what open prison is all about. And your question, just relating to your question, if you're at open prison, you're out of your cell all day. If you're in, say, a category A prison or a double A cap prison, which is another prison within Belmarsh.
Another prison in the prison.
A prison within a prison. They call it a double A cap, which is basically terrorists or suspected terrorists or multiple people that are done multiple murders, etc., etc. And these are the people deemed as the so-called villains of society. Yeah, the most dangerous of society. And if you're in Belmarsh or Wandsworth or some of these A cat or high B cat prisons, then you're usually in your cell probably 16 hours a day minimum. And the only reason why you're out of your cell is either to collect your dinner, collect your lunch, collect your breakfast, and possibly shower and maybe education.
So in that period there, you got to cover all them stuff in that short period of time.
All them periods, like maybe you have yourself for a few hours a day, like 6 to 8 hours a day, but that's covering education. That you have to do something while you're in a prison establishment, i.e. education or training or work. When we say work, we don't mean like a 9 to 5 getting paid like £10 an hour. No, we mean like you're mopping floors, what's it? You're
In the kitchens.
You're cooking food for the rest of the prisoners, and you're not getting
Cooking
paid.
food for the rest of the prisoners.
Where I
Cooking
was,
food
yeah.
for the rest of the prisoners. You're not getting paid like when we say work. Work usually means you get a wage. Like,
It's hard labour. Where I was, headphones. We used to get headphones from the airports, yeah.
Package.
And we used to wrap them up. Like you get 1p a headphone. It's hard. There used to be enough Chinaman in there, and he used to just do it quick. You know what I mean? It's hard labour still.
So that's an actual job in prison, yeah?
It's an actual job. That's what
actual
you're working.
job
That's
which
what
you
you're
don't
doing.
really get paid for.
But it just depends, innit? Like some prisons are different, and also you might get a good job where you get
Gym
to
orderly.
get gym orderly. Like everyone wants
What's
to be a
gym
gym
orderly?
orderly,
What's
where you work in the gym, you're in the gym all
Cleaning
day,
the gym.
clean the gym. You can like
So you
give
use it
people
as much as you
advice.
want.
Basically, there's similar way of breaking it down to people be almost the equivalent to a fitness instructor
Yeah.
outside.
Yeah.
Almost the equivalent.
You can do that course as well.
Except like a fitness instructor outside, doesn't have to clean and mop the showers and wash and pick up sweaty, smelly underwear. Yeah. But if you're a gym orderly, you get that role of guiding and directing others. Also, you get access to the gym
Every day.
usually every day for
3 times a day.
Say for between 6 and 8 hours. Whereas the rest of the prisons usually get access to the gym maybe once or twice
So
a week.
would you
for
say
an
that's
hour.
the best job to have in
That's
there?
what
Probably,
Yeah.
it's one of the best. There's a couple of other nice jobs in there as well, depending on what you. If you're a fat guy who likes burgers and likes chips, then being the kitchen orderly, having a kitchen orderly job is one of the best jobs. If you like your food and you love your burgers and chips, you're a big fat boy, then to you the gym orderly is your worst nightmare, innit? The gym orderly is your worst nightmare, and obviously the kitchen orderly is your favourite job, where basically you're number 2 to the chef in the kitchen, and you get to make your own food, etc., etc. So depending on who you are and what you are, like.
Jazakallah, I'm just going to cut you there quickly. We're going to go for a break, inshallah ta'ala. After the break, we're going to continue our discussion of life behind bars, inshallah ta'ala. Also, the phone line will be open so you can call up and ask any questions to our guests, inshallah ta'ala. So stay tuned and make sure you stay here for the second half. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam.
I'm a Muslim, I came from the streets to Islam, the ghetto. Now when you see your brother, give a palm, embrace with a hug and greet me with salam. Salamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Jazakallah khairan for coming back to our discussion behind bars for the 2 parts brought to you by Rosat Islam. Inshallah ta'ala, if there's any viewers out there who would like to call up and talk to any of our guests, ask any questions regarding prison, anything that maybe we haven't spoke about, inshallah ta'ala, feel free. The number will come across the stream, inshallah ta'ala. Call up and speak to our guests. All right, the next question I'd like to ask you, brothers, inshallah ta'ala, did any of you lot revert to Islam in jail?
Nah, I didn't. I was Muslim before I went to jail. So
Muslim before you went to jail. How about you, Abdullah?
Yeah, I took Shahada in jail.
How about you, Abdullah?
Yeah, myself, I took my shahada in prison. Usually the reason being why is
See other people in other wings, isn't it? Go Juma. There
Wow.
might be a lot of people that you know previously to going to jail,
Yeah.
and some of them might be Muslim. That's what I'm saying. And if they're on other wings,
Okay.
the way to connect wings is either church or mosque.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Me personally, I started going to mosque because a lot of people I knew were Muslim, innit? So I started going to the mosque, linking them in there. Obviously, they're talking to me about Islam. Received some booklets on the wing. Started doing my reading, whatever. And slowly but surely,
There you
it led me down that path, innit?
So you actually took your shahada in the prison?
Yeah.
You as well, Abdullah?
yeah, me myself, and the reason being why, I would say that prison, you have a lot of time in your hands, a lot of time. That one of the benefits about prison, and there's not many benefits, but one of the benefits to prison is that you have a lot of time in your hands.
Yeah.
And time allows you to think. That's one beautiful thing about time, it allows you to think. And obviously having a lot of time to think, you get to weigh up, the myths and the conspiracies and certain points of views that have been put across to you before you come into prison. But instead of just following somebody's lead, you actually get to investigate and dig deep. Because you have so much time, you actually get to read newspapers, you actually get to read booklets, you actually get to listen, get to mix with people from different backgrounds as well, which is what you wouldn't usually do outside.
Yeah.
Usually you'd be around people very similar in the way of thinking to yourself, maybe black boys from the same background, doing the same thing as you. You probably won't mix with Chinese people or Asian people or Somalian people or whatever, you name it. You probably would stick very closely to people of a similar background to yourself. But that's the beautiful thing about one of the benefits of being in prison is that you end up mixing with people of different backgrounds, of different ways of thinking. So you do actually get to listen and dig deep and analyse, other people's religions, beliefs, etc., etc. And like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, the truth will always shine through. Truth will always distinguish itself from falsehood, So this is the case with Al-Islam.
So do you think, do a lot of people revert to the deen in prison? When you lot were in jail, did you see a lot of people coming to Islam? What was the vibe like?
Enough people come to Islam in jail because, like you said, you get time to think, innit? And also, it's like you're searching for something. A lot of people, when they're in jail, me personally, I've never touched harder when I was in jail, so I don't really know. But when I talk to people, they're lost. You understand? They think, raw. How come you're so calm? How come you're so this? How come you're so that? But that's because as Muslims, we know what we're doing, innit? You understand? We've got a purpose. But they're just like, raw. I was out there last month, I'm back in there this month. They're stressed, you understand? They don't know where
So you think because of their understanding of life, it reflects on their behaviour when they're actually in prison?
Exactly, because the beauty of Islam is when you're practicing, it changes you. Do you understand? Your whole character changes. Okay. So, for instance, you might be in a situation where you're just doing this, you're doing that, whole heap of foolishness, and then you get to that stage where you think, okay, I'm doing this now, practicing, and it changes the whole direction. And even though you might have done something that might have led you into prison, if you still got that Islam, then you're still going to have that character, understand? And they're going to see that and think, bro, how comes Abdul Haki so calm? How come he does this? How come he don't get angry at the govs? Understand? How come he's always reading, he's always praying?
It's different. It's different, come from different lifestyles and etc.
And sometimes that attracts people to Islam, innit? It makes them want to come.
We're gonna take some calls, inshallah ta'ala. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Can you tell us where you're calling from and your question, inshallah ta'ala?
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Basically, I just wanted to pose a question to all the brothers because they were discussing their backgrounds, etc., why they came to Islam. What I'd like to know is what countries are they actually from? That's the first part of my question. And whether or not they've actually, what hardships basically have they entailed, as they've embraced Islam in terms of their families' opinion of Islam, the ignorance that exists in society, obviously, because I too am a revert or convert, as you would say, to Islam, and I'm from a West Indian family. So what are the hardships that you experienced, and what was the attraction to Islam? That's my question, brother.
Jazakallah khairan. We're going to take the next call, inshallah ta'ala, then we'll do all the questions. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam
wa rahmatullahi wa
barakatuh. Is it okay if I can say anonymous?
Inshallah. Can you put the TV volume down, inshallah ta'ala? Because we can hear you. Can you put the TV volume down, inshallah?
TV volume's dead, brother.
It's dead, yeah?
Completely.
Alright. Carry on, ask your question, inshallah.
Yeah, basically, I know someone that is close to the family and that, but he's only, he's 15.
Okay.
And he's going to be doing life. He's going to be doing 23 years. And he's 15 now. And just want to know what sort of advice you can give. But he's got an appealing thing going on.
Sure.
So
is he a Muslim?
Yeah, alhamdulillah, of course, born and brought up. He's even reverted at least 3-4 people already. He's strong in everything in his faith, so yeah, in that sense we're okay. But obviously he's got a long time ahead of him, and as I say, he's 15. And as your brothers mentioned on the TV that you got 15 to 18, 18 to 21, so he'll be moving about,
Alright, we've got a next caller, inshallah ta'ala. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Assalamu wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Assalamu alaikum, brothers. Quick question. I mean, can you give the people outside that are putting in work on the road and doing what they're doing, who don't think of the consequences of what they're doing, can you give them a more vivid idea of the life?
Inshallah. Jazakallah. We've got one more caller, inshallah, then we're going to answer the question. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam, brother. This is Abu Muaz speaking from East London.
MashaAllah.
Brother, I've got a question, or more like a comment, but at the same time it's a question. I've seen many brothers, they've gone into prison, and the lifestyle that they were living, for example, in Jahiliyyah, thug life lifestyle, and they were taking risks probably for the wrong reasons. And they've gone in, and alhamdulillah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guided them inside the prisons. But why is it, the question is, why is it when people come out, you find that, for example, there are many people, they've become more weaker, for example, just praying and just fasting, but they don't fulfill the obligations that Islam has set. For example, commanding good, forbidding evil, fulfilling their rights in terms of the rights of the society, living Islam, trying to work for the Sharia and so on. So if you can just talk about that bit, inshallah.
Inshallah ta'ala, jazakallah. Alright, we're gonna deal with the first question, inshallah. The sister said basically, what difficulties do you lot basically go through, and she was basically interested in like what background are you lot from, inshallah. So any of you lot can answer the question, inshallah.
Yeah, me myself, I'll say I'm from a Caribbean background. My parents are from Jamaica, both parents. In terms of embracing the deen, the beauty of it was that my mum, obviously, like most people, obviously who have little knowledge of Al-Islam, she had a lot of preconceived ideas, and a lot of misguided attitudes towards Islam. But first and foremost, what people talk about is word da'wah, which in Lughat al-Arabiyyah, which means calling, invitation to Al-Islam. And what I did with my parents was, the way I gave them da'wah wasn't just with my words, but was also with my actions. So rather than saying to them that, Islam's such a good religion, look, the Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says, "La yu'minu ahadukum hatta yuhibbu li akhihi ma yuhibbu li nafsi," that none of you truly believes until you love for another Muslim what you love for yourself. Rather than just conveying that, with my tongue, I actually showed my mother that, with actions. I.e., she asked me, "Where are you going now?" I said, "Oh, I've got to go and help a brother paint his house." Oh, but in this, wallahi billahi, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. This is not me trying to get the plaudits of the audience or plaudits of the listeners, thinking, mashallah, he's a good brother. Just purely just so you can actually see the angle where I'm coming from. When I would go and paint a brother's house, say free of charge, she would say to me, "Why didn't you charge him any money? Mum, how can I charge somebody who has no money? Yeah, how can I charge somebody who has nothing, something, when they have nothing? Like, all the reward I want to get is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the akhirah." And my mum seeing this action, seeing Islam being like lived out with my actions, with my amal, rather than just with my tongue.
When you say compared to how you was before, the difference when your mum sees you with that, it's like a highlight to her.
No. So so in terms of that barriers towards Islam, she actually got to see me actually living Islam with my actions, and this brought down all her preconceived ideas. She's like, okay, this is true Islam, this is true Islam. And this gave her a clear and much purer understanding of the deen. So with me, I haven't really experienced much hardship. Like I said, there's a hadith from the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. He says in Sahih Bukhari, "Khayrukum man ta'alama al-Qur'ana wa alama," that the best amongst you is the one who learns the Qur'an and then goes and teaches it. So with me, like I said, in terms of that, what I do, like I said, with my actions, I try and show my mum, give my mum da'wah with my actions, not just my tongue, because this is a sign of a munafiq, when you talk the talk but don't walk the walk, basically. And obviously, in terms of relaying the deen, I try every time I go and visit my mum, try and say that Muslims, I'm not just praying 5 times a day just to look pretty. I'm doing it because I know this is a command from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So I give her goodness here with my tongue as well. Sorry, brother.
Khalil, I was going to ask you, basically the other brother called up and he said he's got a relative that's 15 years old and he's life in jail. What advice would you got to him? Because
as Muslims, we all know that there will be an akhirah. So what I would say to him is that remain patient and just use that time to study and just focus on akhirah, do you understand? Because there's so much of this world that he can live now, innit? Because he's contained in that small little world, do you understand? Like, a lot of people, like non-Muslims for instance, they don't know what's really going on. They think that this life is it, do you understand? We have to remember that this life is not just it. There is another life, do you understand? So you got to just kind of say to him, look, alright, you're here now, alhamdulillah. All you can do, study, better yourself. And also it might be a protection for him from the hellfire, because when you're out here committing zina, raving, etc., 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 only Allah knows. But it might be something he can do and just stay focused, stay to himself, you know, get closer to his Lord. And if he comes out, inshallah, comes out on something better, innit?
Inshallah ta'ala. Alright, there was another question the brother called up. Basically, he said that a lot of people are reverting to Islam, i.e. in jail, etc. But it's like when they come out of jail, it's like everything goes out the window. Now, Abdullah, what advice, how would you tackle this situation? Because even it's something that we come across a lot. Because, subhanAllah, I speak to brothers when they phone me and they're in jail and they're giving you all sorts of advice. And then when they hit the roads, it's like, subhanAllah, you don't ever see this brother again. So what do you, like, obviously you've been in jail, I've never been to jail, so what's the difference? What is it when you're in prison and when you come out? Why does everything automatically change? Like, what is the fitness that people go through?
The difference, obviously, you're confined in it, you're contained, and it all boils down to, again, what prison you're in. Because obviously, different prisons, they have different, how you call them, population densities of Muslims. Some might be more populated by Muslims, so then obviously you're surrounded more by brothers, and it's just the same as when you hit the road. If you're not surrounded by brothers, and to be more specific, practicing brothers, good brothers that can
advise you,
that can help you command the good and forbid the evil within yourself and then within your jama'ah, it's something beneficial, isn't it? And when you're in the prison system, you haven't really got nowhere to go. Like the brother said, there's less fitna in it, because you can't go raving, you can't commit zina, you can't do all of these things that use these attractions.
So you get a chance to focus,
that can pull you off the path.
Okay.
There's less of it. You see what I'm saying? So you've got more time to yourself to reflect. When you hit the road now, not saying that Shaitan ain't in the prison cell with you, but when you're on the road,
different.
He's just glamorizing everything for you now, innit? So you're distracted, your eyes are all over the place. You know what I'm saying? And the only advice I can give you is that you stick close to the masjid, and then you stick close to the brothers. You see what I'm saying? Because that protection in numbers.
It's not a solo thing.
It's not a solo thing,
The solo thing is very, 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 very dangerous.
Let me ask you another question.
Also, on that, I think what brothers need to understand is that the solo thing, you can't leave a man by himself. Do you understand? When he comes out, if you know that, you know, you lot are good for him or whatever, latch on to him. Keep around him, because what will happen is that he'll be by himself, he might be misspeen, you might be thinking, oh, do this, whatever, or a gal might phone him, it's been a long time, where you been, you understand? And he might have linked that gal from before, but now he's not on that, do you understand? And then she sees him on the... But all these things, it's because he by himself, the chef, I'm going to say to him, you know what, it's been a while, you know, you ain't even linked a gal yet, But if you go around good brothers, they might advise him, I can get married.
It's natural, it's natural for a human to have a companion.
Especially, it depends on the jahiliyyah you're coming from as well. If you're coming from a place where that's what you was used to, when you come out, it's going to lick you in it. You're going to think, I'm out now. In your soul, that's all you're fit. Enough man in their soul, if you ask them what they're thinking about, first thing you're going to do, say, I'm going to link a girl, I'm going to go eat her food, I'm going to go see my mum, But do you understand? So you got to kind of say, look, this is what he's going to be going through. Come on, let's put some money down for him. Do you understand?
But listen to this. But on the flip side now, you meet some brothers, when they come out of jail, they say, you know what, no one ain't doing nothing for me. You know, everyone's driving nice cars, everyone's got nice clothes, no one ain't hollering at me, no one ain't dropping them a change, or etc. But it's like, do you think it's a trick from the shaitan, or... Because, I don't know, when you're in jail, do you think everyone's life is okay, or everyone's living good because you're behind bars?
It's a time machine, isn't it? You can't see what's going on. You're in this time machine. When you went out, my man's driving this, my man's driving that. So my man send me no money. So it's a time machine. You don't know what's going on. So when you come out now, you're thinking, raw. But you don't know what stresses my man's going through, or you don't know what stresses that brother's going through. So you're just thinking, raw, I ain't no one doing nothing for me. I'm by myself out here. But it's a trick from the shaitan.
I think there's also a point which runs side by side with this point you just mentioned. Why brothers in prison, their iman is very, very strong, and when they come outside, their iman is very, very weak, like da'if. And one of the things which I've seen quite a lot, and it might not be the full answer, but it's definitely a contributing factor, is how certain other Muslims' attitudes are to that brother who's actually been behind bars and actually came back onto the roads. And what I mean by that is, for example, say like a brother like myself, I might be a revert to the deen. I'm praying 5 times a day. I'm fasting during Ramadan. Obviously nobody is perfect, but in terms of the minimum requirements to keep you into Al-Islam, i.e. the 5 pillars, I'm steadfast on them. But and I say I want to stay far away from fitna, far away from zina. So I say, ya akhi, have you got, a good sister who fears Allah, who prays 5 times a day, who fasts during Ramadan, that could somehow you introduce me to this sister, i.e. your daughter, etc. We know through the halal procedure. The first thing, the first thing the brother will say, if he's not from your particular background, i.e. Caribbean, etc., etc. First thing he'll do is that, no, brother, we different, say for example, I want to marry a Somalian, or I want to marry a Pakistani, or I want to marry a Bangladeshi. And this is a big issue within the deen at the moment. So, subhanAllah, people thinking in terms of culture, in terms of tribe, rather than in terms of Al-Islam, rather than in terms of the Sunnah. And this causes a barrier, this causes a mushakil, because the brother thinks, you know what, I'm doing everything that's required of me as a Muslim. Yet you're forbidding me, or you're encouraging me to, in fact, actually go and do zina because I want to marry your daughter. The reason why you said no is not because of my iman, my adab, my akhlaq, but because of something which I have no control over, i.e. my passport, or the place which I was born in, which I didn't have control over. So this then leads the brother to think, you know what, like, you don't even want me to marry your daughter.
Sorry to cut you, Aki. We've got 2 callers, inshallah ta'ala. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Can you tell us where you're calling from and your question, inshallah?
Assalamualaikum.
My
name's Aisha and I'm calling from South London. I'd just like you to, I know you've obviously talked a lot about some of the benefits of being away from obviously mainstream life, but I'd just like it if you could maybe highlight some more negative aspects of before, during and after your time inside, inshallah.
Okay, jazakallah. Alright, we're going to take the next caller. Assalamu alaikum. Naam, so inshallah ta'ala, can any of you answer that question?
Yeah, definitely. So first thing I would say, in regard to prison life is that, relationships, if you get, even a small sentence, being away from your loved ones, the people most beloved to you, i.e. your children, if you're married, the hardship you're putting on your wife, if you have 2 or 3 children together and you're the main breadwinner, imagine what this burden this puts now upon your wife. There's maybe not an income, you as the only breadwinner in a family. So how are your children going to get the basics of bread, water, food, clothing, etc., etc.? Yeah, this is not a third world state, but still, if your wife's not the breadwinner and you were the breadwinner, look at the hardship, look at the mushakil, the problems you brought to the family. And that's one thing which is definitely a disadvantage of going to prison. Second of all, in terms of possessions, if you have a property, say like a house or car, etc., etc. If you're away for a long time, obviously if you have something like a council property, etc., etc.,
it's going to go.
or even if you have a property, which like you and your wife own together, then again the burden's back on your wife. How is she going to pay the water rates, the bills, the electric, the gas, etc., etc.? And if it's a council flat, after you've been in over a certain period of time, that gets taken away from you. So then when you come out, you come back out naked, metaphorically. You come out with nothing, so you have to start again. So these are a couple of the things, the relationships break down, and obviously, in terms of possessions, you lose a lot of your possessions.
What would you say regarding to, like, maybe when you're getting back into work and stuff? Does going to prison affect that side of your life?
Of course. It's like a vicious cycle. You go jail, you come out, and then they expect you to do enhanced disclosure and things like this.
Like a CRB, like a criminal background.
Once you do these kind of things, you ain't getting a job. Is what I'm saying? And it's like they're pushing you away. Obviously, you can't blame no one but yourself, innit? You put yourself in that situation, innit? But with regards to that, your past, and it kind of ties in with what the brother's saying about the marriage thing as well.
Yeah.
It might be something like that where they don't want you to marry them because of your past. You was in prison or whatever. Even though you might have changed and changed your whole lifestyle and everything, your outlook on life. You know what I'm saying? Your past always comes back to haunt you, innit? It's like you can't get married, you can't find a job. You know what I'm saying?
It just affects you all around.
It's like I don't want to use it as an excuse because brothers can still find a way around it, innit? But it kind of pushes man
back into
the madness, innit? So you can see the reason why a lot of people do fall into that, innit? But obviously you've got ways around this. And you can, obviously it starts from the community as well. The brothers, they need to
come together
and
make resources for the brothers, basically.
Yeah.
Because if you look at it in layman's terms, what the brother's basically saying in layman's terms, that let's be blunt, yeah. If you're black, yeah, if you're Muslim in Dar al-Harb or Dar al-Kufr, which is what we're living in at the moment, if you're got a criminal record, criminal conviction, you add those three together: black, Muslim, criminal conviction, and looking like a Muslim, displaying the sunnah, i.e. beard, etc., etc. Yeah, like brothers, understand that you will have very, very limited opportunities, and that's Allah Subhanahu wa Taala wills. So, like most definitely, if you want to get your life back on the straight and narrow after all the things you did in Jahiliyyah, remember these non-believers, these al-kafirun, they might not give you any opportunities. Like this could be a mashakin.
Alright, sorry to cut you out. We've got 2 more callers, inshallah ta'ala. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Can you tell us where you're calling from and your question, inshallah?
Assalamu alaikum, bro.
My
name is Abdel Nasser. I'm calling from Wembley.
MashaAllah.
I just want to ask, like, you see when you went jail, was that the whole turning point of your life? Like, when you came out, was it harder? I mean, was the temptation stronger? Like, were you doing stuff that, was it harder to stay away from stuff than it was before?
Okay, inshallah. We've got a next caller. Assalamu alaikum. Can you tell us where you're calling from and your question, inshallah ta'ala?
Yes. Hello?
Hello.
Hello, assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
Inshallah, I want to ask a question. I want to add to what you lot and also I want to ask a question. Can you hear me?
Yeah, can hear you, inshallah. You got to be quick, Aki, because the show's nearly over.
Okay, a lot of people, the reason why they go to prison, yeah, what we've got to realise is that one of the names of Allah is He's the advisor. Either He brings you away from the people, or He brings the people away from you.
SubhanAllah. So we've got a next caller. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum, brothers.
Wa alaikum salam.
I've got a question for a sister of mine. Basically, she's a Somalian girl, and she's a brother that's Jamaican is interested. What advice can you give for? Because her family kind of said no.
Okay.
Why did they say no?
Bottom line is because he's Jamaican, which is kind of sad.
To be honest with you, in regards to a question like that, it's better that you go and speak to someone with knowledge, inshallah ta'ala, because none of us on there ain't got no knowledge, so we don't want to start giving fatwas or saying this is what we should do, inshallah. But let's deal with the other question that the first person asked, inshallah ta'ala.
What was it?
in regards to when you come out of jail, like getting back into life, etc. How do you deal with it?
It depends on the situation, innit? If you come out and you had a little bit of money and you know you got people around you supporting you, then it's a lot more easier. And if you got a plan as well, that's another thing. When you're in there, you got to get a plan. And I'll kind of advise this to anyone that might know anyone that's in there or whatever. Don't just come out and just think, okay, I'm gonna be out there, then I'm gonna make a plan. It's not gonna work. Do you understand? Because life is it goes so fast, and you're rushing this way, then you're rushing that way. You don't want to be doing that. You want to know what you're doing. You want to know what direction you're going in. Do you understand? So I advise anyone, just get a plan.
A goal, innit?
Yeah, a goal, and just work towards it best as you can.
But just, you see that issue there, sister, I know you said you weren't going to tackle it, because obviously, we don't have much knowledge, but just regards to what the sister said regarding the brother, the sister wants to marry a brother from Jamaica and she's from Somalian background. The best advice I'll give you and give your family is that, did the Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam display any traits of racism? Did he ever say, the Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam say, you can't be my friend, you can't be my companion because of your background, you can't marry my daughter because of your background? The answer to this is clearly no. And we know the Rasul sallallahu alayhi wasallam is obviously the best of mankind, the best example to follow. So if we truly say we're Muslim.
Jazakallah. Sorry to cut you out. We're coming to the end of the show. I'd like to thank all my guests who came on the show, and mashallah, tabarakallah, you benefited us a lot, inshallah ta'ala. Jazakallah to all the viewers who have watched the show. Inshallah ta'ala, make dua for us. Until next time, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.